That we are in the hands of the Most High, I want to quickly run us through our program. We are not doing too well with time. The opening ceremony will be less than 2 hours. Then we move to the next business, the main business. We will take the national anthem. After this, we will then recognize our guests. We will receive remarks from the Executive Director of EPL Global. We will then also have remarks from our partner, MasterCard Foundation. We will take remarks from the board, a board member, Mrs. Shami. We will then call on Karen to introduce two of our distinguished guests, Dr. Sylvester and Madam Rose Wochika, who will be giving our key notes. That is how the program will go. But we are all here, and sometimes there are logistics challenges when it comes to conferences. We have our host or our logistics coordinator here, Mr. Patrick, to come and share some few logistics information with us. Let's clap for him as he comes.
Thank you so much, Richard. Good morning. Good morning. Habari zenu? Habari zenu? I remember I was teaching someone Kiswahili, Amanda, where is she? Oh, but I know now she knows how to answer. Okay, let me take this opportunity to thank you all for choosing this place to have your conference. We are delighted to have you here. And please, we would like even you to help us, give you good service, enjoy our facilities as you give us the feedback on how your stay will be here. But we want to make it even comfortable. We want to make it even nice. So kindly help us. My names are Patrick Kahoro. I'm the food and beverage manager. But also in operations, you will see me. And this is Kasarani Sportsview Hotel. It's a 4-star hotel for those people who have never been here before. And we have so many facilities, including now the conferencing. That is our core business here. We have 16 different conference halls. At least we have rooms for accommodation. That is 106 rooms. We have other facilities like the wedding gardens, where you can also have your team building. We also have the health club, our gym. We also have the swimming pool. So please, we have all those facilities here, and it's good also for you to have that information. This is where we'll be having our conference. This is called Jumbo Conferencing Hall. You've seen we have already partitioned it. It's actually a big hall. And also we have some boardrooms upstairs. We've used one as a holding room. So please, it's good even for you to walk around. Maybe you might have something else for tomorrow, so that you can even be able to refer someone here. We will be having our teas here, outside here, like the 10 o'clock tea and snacks, also the 4 o'clock tea and snacks. But the lunch and also the breakfast, we have Victoria Restaurant, which is just at the beginning where we have the new building. So that's where we are going to have our meals there. And please help us even to give you better meals. If you feel that you need something, for us, that is what we value most. And we normally take it very, very positively. If we cannot even be able to speak it out, for those people who are residing here, we have somewhere where maybe you can put your suggestion, write it down. Then you can put it in our suggestion boxes. You'll see them. And also, if you not so, you can be able even to take it to the reception, and we'll be able to act on it urgently. So let me assure you also, the security for this place is very good. We also have even uniformed police officers here. It's not to say that this place is bad, no, but it is to ensure the security, even your security, is good here. In case of any emergency, we have the reception, we have the numbers that are there. You can even call and we'll be able to assist you well. So kindly, thank you so much. I know I'll be together with you. We'll be seeing each other around. Feel free to tell me anything and we'll be able to assist you. Thank you so much. Na karibuni sana. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Okay, so before I hand over to the Executive Director of EPL, Abigail Kajumba, there is this statement I want us to reflect on, and it's from Michelle Jenny. And it's about networking. She says networking is not about just connecting with people. It's about connecting people with people with ideas, and people with opportunities. We are here from different countries. We are here with different backgrounds. We are people. What opportunities will we identify? How can we leverage on that? As we gather here, I want to believe it's for a purpose, to learn and build network. To what end? To build good governance in Africa. On that note, with a clap offering, I invite Mrs. Abigail Kajumba, the Executive Director of EPL.
Thank you, Richard, and thank you, everyone. Isn't this wonderful? We're here. We made it from all over Africa.
In my local language, we have something called sankofa. It's a bird. I say sankofa. A Ghanaian can respond. Sankofa anything. When you realize that you've made a mistake, there's nothing wrong correcting it. Before she makes her remarks, we need to take the home national anthem. So at this point, if we can all stand up and take the national anthem. So I thought we are having two. Are we done? Yes. Kenya and East Africa. That was fast. Anyways, thank you very much. You can have your seats. So we do it together. You do the board chairs, then I do the board chair and the directors. Then
I was thinking of not doing names and just doing
okay.
unless you have them.
Okay, so thank you again. We want to do a quick recognition of ourselves, and we want the Ghana team to just stand up and give us a wave offering. The Ghana team here. The Ghana team. EPL Ghana. The rest are coming. I like that. We want to PYPP, the Liberia team here too. Just. Oh. The pioneers, the grandfathers, and our hosts, ELF P-Self.
Now you know. Now you know. If you don't know.
Thank you. And we have our latest baby, Malawi. They are not fellows, they are not alumni, but I want to give them special recognition from the government of Malawi, the Office of Cabinet and Presidents, the team from Malawi. We also want to specially recognize our partners from MasterCard Foundation. Mrs. Ivy Moai. We are expecting APAM, Professor George Scott. We know he's not here. We especially want to recognize Mrs. Shami Surinian, if I'm mentioning it well. Welcome. Let's clap for her. And I want to recognize my professor, my lecturer, Dr. Sylvester Obongo. I want also to recognize Mr. Emmanuel Butcher. Forgive me of the surname. And finally, Madame Rose Wachoka. Thank you very much. I will now hand over to Abigail.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard. My kids will be proud of me that I've now half-learnt the East African anthem, because sadly they didn't teach it to me in Uganda when I was young, but now even my 3-year-old knows every word, I think of every verse. So it's nice to do both. So I think we've covered the welcomes, but again, honoured guests, board members, government officials, alumni, teams from across Africa, and country representatives, it is a delight to finally be here all together. So all protocol observed, as we say in Uganda, and my excitement observed as well. Emerging Public Leaders has the vision of a prosperous and equitable Africa, fostered by good governance. I love and I'm passionate about that vision. Co-founded in Liberia by former President Sirleaf 15 years ago today. Maybe we can have a little clap for that. Not today, sorry, this year. Can I have a clap for that? President Sirleaf looked around and historically said, but where are the young people? How am I going to build and strengthen this country without young people? And PYPP, our grandparents, and later EPL was born from that vision with her co-founder, Betsy Williams. We've since grown to Ghana over 5 years ago. And now we're obviously in Kenya with our hosts, where we've been for about 3 years with our partners ELF and PSC. And we've been in Malawi about 3 months, and we're wonderfully excited to have representatives from the government with us today as we begin that fellowship this year. We also hope to move to 1 to 2 countries this year, into new territories, into Africa. Thank you for all being here for the inaugural Africa-wide alumni gathering. We often hear from our fellows and alumni that some of the greatest support they get beyond the fellowship is, as well as the events we hold and the webinars, but it's the knowing each other. It's the being able to walk into the ministry down the hall to follow up on an important matter. So as we look for that prosperous and equitable Africa, I'm delighted to see us now meeting together, both in person and online. So a special welcome as well to those joining us online who can't be here in person. But we still need young people and young leaders in the public service, in the civil service, to shape our countries and the continent as a whole. That's why I want to take a moment to thank MasterCard, our amazing partners, the MasterCard Foundation, who's partnered with us to get 550 more young people through the fellowship program and have young people in public service across Africa. And we're looking for more partners to fulfill our big vision and our big dreams. We're strengthening governance and contributing to Africa's advancement by developing a new generation of public servants who are ethical, creative, and committed to social impact. Many of you are here and again watching online. So thank you again for moving us towards that equitable and prosperous Africa fostered by good governance. Today, we have more than 400 young leaders who have completed the fellowship program. They serve their countries and communities in more than 50 ministries and other government agencies. Nearly half of our fellows are women, but as we are continually focusing and being intentional about women in leadership, our aim is to increase that to over 70%. And that will help us readdress the imbalance that currently exists. This year, we are, as I said, continuing to grow our support for women in leadership. We're expanding our country programs, as I mentioned, and we're also looking to harness and focus our work on our curriculum so that we have an offering both online and continually in person, both in the countries we work, but also ideally beyond. With EPL's support throughout their career journeys, the diverse network of leaders advanced to significant levels of responsibility. As our grandparent country, as we called them earlier, Liberia, I was in Liberia and Ghana last week, so it's great to now be in Kenya, and I was in Malawi end of last year, and I was struck in Liberia, having been there 15 years, how even while I was there during the week, I think the tally got to about 4 new appointments in significant places of responsibility in the new government. As I was leaving, we visited the Ministry of Education to find that the Chief of Staff for the ministry had just been reappointed. And as we know, with the history of Liberia now having the next peaceful transition of power, that in itself is an amazing achievement. And we're just really glad to be part of building that, not just that country, but the leaders of Liberia, of Ghana, of Kenya, of Malawi, and beyond. And I think today really marks the beginning of a moment where we go hand in hand to increase our impact, not just in our countries, which is so important, but across Africa as an alumni gathering that crosses borders as well as countries. And I must say, I can't wait. So thank you all for being here. We look forward to the next few days. And thank you for giving the time for this amazing, incredible, and important moment and time as we continue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I now want to call Mrs. Ivy Mwai, the representative from MasterCard Foundation, credible partners, to give their statement.
Good morning, everyone. Everyone in the room and everyone online. It's a pleasure to be here with you this morning, representing the MasterCard Foundation. My name is Ivy Mwai, and I am based in the Foundation's office in Kenya. And part of the Scholars Program, a flagship program of the MasterCard Foundation. And it is within that program, or within the Education and Transitions part of the foundation, that we host the Transitions Partnership and the Transformative Leadership Partnership, which is actually the area of the foundation that has partnered with the Emerging Public Leaders Program. So very excited to be here and to be part of this gathering. It's a new one for me, but such a pleasure to meet old friends. I think Abigail talked about networking, and you know, when you're alumni of a particular organization, you build networks among each other, and you go to different places and you meet people that you know. And it is always such a joy to do that, because you know that when you find someone in the room that you have worked with before or met before, you can take to the next level what it is that brought you into the room in the first place. Very glad also to hear about the target of 50% young women in the program. The foundation has an even more ambitious target of 70% young women in everything that we do as part of our strategy, which is the Young Africa Works strategy. And we're heading there. We're close to that 70%, and we hope that we shall accomplish it sooner than later. When we were in the holding room earlier, before we came in here, we were discussing International Women's Day, because this is a month. And towards the end of this week, we shall be celebrating that day with its theme, #InspireInclusion. And that's really what I see in this room, and what I hear you talk about is the issue of inclusion. Diverse, equitable, inclusive organization, young leaders who are at the center of the different public sector areas in the countries. And I know when I look around the room, and I'm assume online that I'm also looking at you, that you are the present and the future of this continent. Because without you, it will be very difficult to accomplish what it is that each of the different countries represented here, and those countries that you neighbor and partner with and work with, can all come together. We laughed at our table when someone asked, there's an East Africa anthem. Wow. That's already a beginning of networking together. And I stand to be corrected. There might also be an AU anthem one day, because I think if it isn't already there. And maybe someone in this room shall be the person to drive for that. Because when we stand up and we sing as one nation, or as one region, as one continent, we feel that togetherness, that empowerment that allows us to be transformative about what we do to disrupt the future of Africa. And I hope that as you gather here today, over this week as alumni of the Emerging Public Leaders Program, you shall put forward ideas, innovations, programs, ways of working together to ensure the continuity and the future and the disruption that Africa shall bring to this world. I wish you all the best in this week, and I look forward to hearing more and more about what transpires in the course of this week, and as you go back to your countries and welcome new ones, welcome Malawi, and the countries that shall be welcomed later in the year as part of this network. Thank you very much.
Let's continue clapping for her as she takes her seat. Diversity is the spice of life. Intentionality, and not just intentionality, being intentional on certain targets, female inclusion, 50%. And for us, we are aiming at 70%. MasterCard is saying that. And intentionally, we are working towards that. Thank you for reminding us of that. I want to now call on the board chair of EPL Global, Shami Surinarian, to give her remarks. Let's clap for her as she comes.
Good morning, everyone. Firstly, clarification, I'm not the board chair, but I will take that title and represent the board chair in her absence today. What a wonderful, wonderful sight for sore eyes. I must say I had some trepidation and anxiety even coming here. It took a long time to get here and traveled quite far. But this view of fellows from all over Africa is the most inspiring thing that I'll probably do all month. So thank you for all being here. I just wanted to say good morning and all protocols observed to all of our guests, our distinguished guests, our partners, the MasterCard Foundation, team of EPL, ELF, our fellows. I just want to give a round of applause. I know Richard did this, but I do want to say thank you to the first cohort representing from Liberia. Please give yourselves a round of applause. We look to you for inspiration, to be very honest, because you set the tone and the context for how public service is going to be reimagined in Africa today. Thank you. Thank you to our partners from Ghana, from EPL Ghana. Please give yourselves a round of applause. Particularly because I think you just got off a flight. So really, thank you for showing up and for being here despite that travel, and the commitment that you make here is really profound and we appreciate you. We thank our hosts, Kenya. Come on, you can do better than that. I'd like to give two special thank yous, particularly to the ELF team. I think you are owed a huge and really rigorous round of applause. Thank you to the ELF team. Thank you for showing up every day, for making this partnership succeed. Thank you to the PSC partners. I don't know if we have representatives here in the team. Thank you. Dr. Sylvester, we appreciate the partnership. You make it a success. And thank you to the EPL team and all the fellows. We are so grateful. But mine is a very simple job. Firstly, I want to say it's an honor to represent EPL here, and I know Betsy would have loved to be here, the co-founder alongside President Sirleaf. And I know that I speak on behalf of Mr. Lubembe and the rest of the P-Self Steering Committee as well. Firstly, my message is going to be to the alumni. It is a delight to be here, and thank you to Ivy for calling out the importance of both the representation, the inclusion, the diversity that is our mandate. But I think I just wanted to give a few messages to the alumni community. I think even when the African Union was reimagined or imagined several years ago, we know that there was a narrative around public service in Africa. There was a narrative of hopelessness. There was a narrative of incompetence, quite frankly. And that narrative, unfortunately, still persists. So it is really an honor for me to see these faces in the room, to see the commitment of EPL, to the commitment of ELF, to change this narrative. Because we know that this generation is Africa's generation. We know that from the statistics, we know that from the music, we know that from the culture, but importantly, we know that from the influence that we can actually shape in terms of the continent and the world. So my ask of the alumni community is a few things. It is your obligation, in partnership with all of us, to reframe this narrative. To reframe the narrative from one of hopelessness, from one of depression and pessimism and incompetence, to one of reimagined hope and possibility. It can be done. Seeing the faces in this room, I have no doubt that that's going to happen. But how are you going to do this? And I'm sure, as alumni, you have many, many lessons in your back pocket, and we'll refresh those lessons in the years to come. But the first thing is a mantra that I actually I use with my own children, and it's something that actually stands me in great stead. It's a mantra that we often talk about in our house. if you are too big to do the little things, you are too little to do the big things. This is something that I profoundly believe in every single day, because public service, civil service, leadership really isn't doing great things. It's not just getting the awards, being on stage, even holding the mic. It's showing up every single day, doing difficult things, which many of you are doing, and I really want to thank you for that. You do deserve a round of applause for that. Because it is confronting the challenges that face our people every single day, showing up with integrity, with excellence, with partnership, I love these values, with citizen-centric leadership, accountability, showing up every single day to face those challenges. And you do that every single day. So thank you for that. Continue doing it, but don't be afraid to do the little things, because that's what it means to do the big things. The second thing, and again, it is to re-emphasize, we are in Africa, we believe in Ubuntu, we believe in the spirit of connectedness. Community is the bedrock of our progress. And I think we often forget that. We think it's about GDP growth and being on the world stage, etc. But you all, every day, serve and show up in your communities. And that is the bedrock of progress. We can never forget that. It is not about the shiny new things and the shiny global stage. Importantly, public service is based on community. And this alumni, yes, as much as it is a network, and I love the word network, but sometimes we think of network as you go to an alumni community event, you exchange business cards, you talk about it transactionally, what can you do for me, what do I do for you? But community is something different. Community means you invest of yourself, and you care, not just about what you get out of it, but what everyone does. And that's a really profound shift. And all of you, as public servants, are actually putting your hand up for that. You're building communities and you're serving communities. So never take that for granted, and always make sure that you realize that you're part of a fabric that actually makes our continent, our communities, our societies great. So thank you again for that, but never forget that you are part of an alumni community. And in order for you to derive benefit from it, don't necessarily just imagine it as a transaction. Invest in it. Because what you put in it is what you're going to get out of it, and what everyone will get out of it. And the last call to action, I would say, is honor the experience of EPL, not by just saying thank you, and not just by showing up, which we would love, thank you, but pay it forward. Find that young person who's bright, who's eager in your communities, who also wants to serve. Shift the narrative by mentoring young people. Shift the narrative by paying it forward, by sponsoring someone, by mentoring someone, by giving them advice, encouraging each other, really, when times get tough, because times are going to be tough, no doubt. We don't pretend this is a glamorous job, it's not. So you have to be there, not just for each other, but also for the next generation. And in as much as we pin a lot of our hopes on you, you're going to have to do the same. So build that community, pay it forward, and do not be afraid to do the little things, because that allows you to do the great things. So with that, I wish you all the best, and I'm really proud and privileged to serve alongside you of this great mission. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Shall we give her a clap? Integrity is key to good governance. Not just about networking, I heard that one as well. Citizen-centric leadership. These are among some of the things that we are trying to promote. And we know our alumni are already living that in your various institutions. Thank you, alumni, and thank you very much, Shami, for this encouraging words to the alumni. We need to introduce two distinguished personalities here, but to do that, I want to call on Karen, who will introduce the next person. Let's clap for her.
Hey, lovely people. Mambo. Maisha. Okay, so the Swahili speakers, you can translate that. What is mambo in English? So it is things, but then how are things? And then Maisha? Yeah, so how is life? So please just discuss that where you are. How are you? How is life? How are you feeling? I can see people having very animated conversations. That's nice. We will go on with that at some point. Hello. Welcome back. Now, I am so excited to be here and to see the face of Africa in this space. Wow, guys are still finding out how they are. I think we're really yearning for conversation and connection. The deepest craving of every human being, connection. We will get to that. Now, Ivy, when you were speaking, you wondered whether we have the African Union anthem. How many of us, so yes, as many of us confirmed it is there, how many of us know the words of the African Union anthem? Oh, you know the tune. Okay, anyone who knows the words? Okay, so anyone, if you have the lyrics, you can sing. Africa for Africans, by Africans. The stories of Africa to be told by Africans. The challenges in Africa are to be resolved by the Africans, and especially the young Africans, the young, enlightened, empowered, equipped Africans. So there's, if you have your phone, you can Google. It has a chorus, and I dedicate this chorus to all of us. Oh, sons and daughters of Africa, flesh of the sun and flesh of the sky, let us make Africa the tree of life. The tree of life. I'd like for you to imagine the tree of life. Not tree of death, but the tree of life. And we are the fruits of the tree of life, the African tree of life, and even the global tree of life. I'd love to delve deeper into that, but my task here was to introduce some awesome humans, public servants who epitomize service that Shami was describing and talking about. And so the first person on stage I would like to invite is Dr. Sylvester Obongo, who is from the Public Service Commission of Kenya. Now, for the teams from Ghana and Liberia, and I'm sure some of you might know the story, and even the leaders from Kenya, you're aware that it took us over 2 years of negotiations for P-Self to be launched in Kenya. It was tough, crazy, back, forth. But one thing I really appreciate about the Public Service Commission of Kenya is that you guys actually live out the true meaning of seeing young people, seeing potential in young people, and going beyond that to give them the space to do whatever it is they need to do, and not you sitting, deciding, making every decision, and then bringing the young people to the table. So I really, really do appreciate that. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I would like for us to put our hands together and invite Dr. Sylvester, who has been very instrumental in this program.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It gives me great pleasure to be here this morning. As I reflect back on the journey, it gives me great pleasure how far we have been. Commissioner Muyandi would have loved to be here, but we've been having a crazy, crazy program at the commission. As I'm seated here, my team is somewhere else. And if only I could clone myself, I'll be in those two places at the same time. It also gives me great pleasure that one of the people who actually nurtured me in the reform path is seated here with us. Emmanuel Lubembe. Please. And as I go on with this brief presentation, there are a few things I would like to highlight. One, the place of public service. Two, the place of young leaders in the public service. And one of the things that made us take so long in grounding the program was finding its place in the Kenyan public service, because it wasn't a new idea as such. But when Karen came and Yawa came and somebody else, who was that? There's somebody else from Elishiba. Public service is a very interesting space. And for the young men and young women who are here, the importance of this program is that for some of us, we are not in the public service because we don't have alternatives. We are in the public service because that's where we want to be. I am in the public service because that's where I want to be. I actually left the public service in 2004 and went to be the senior advisor, Africa Central Price Waterhouse Coopers, where my 1 month salary net was more than my 1 year's gross salary in government. But I only stayed there for 2 years, and I came back to Mr. Lubembe's department at that time, the Transformation Secretary. Let me put the place of young men in the public service into perspective. From about the early 60s and up to independence, the public service was being run as a bureaucracy. Bureaucratic traditional public service depended on rules. Bureaucratic public service depended on hierarchy. Bureaucratic public service depended on the existing traditions. By the 70s and the 80s, the public service is changing, and we get the new public management where people are looking for results, people are looking for measurement, people are looking for performance management. And therefore we have a whole raft of public service reforms taking place. In Kenya, we were also moving from the traditional civil service reform to public service transformation. The first transformation strategy we did was under Mr. Lubembe. And in that strategy, we had the component of growing our leaders. You look at the Kenya, KIA, the traditional training institute, which trained artisans, public servants who grew, was also changing shape. So we began by changing the shape of KIA into Kenya School of Government. And you will be amazed that under the guidance of Mr. Lubembe, we did the first strategic leadership program. I did the curriculum because the leadership was changing. So in 2009, KIA launched the strategic program, strategic leadership program. At the commission, we also had change of leadership. And Mr. Kirogo came in and said we need to change the orientation into citizen centricity. What I'm saying is that for the it is not a program, it's not a project where we are looking at 2 or 3 years. We are already thinking of what are we going to next. And for us, it is very fellows are our employees. And therefore we track them and we look at where they are going. We are in touch. Even as late as when, Friday, I was in touch with one of the fellows who was in the last cohort, who is currently pursuing a master's in Israel. We chat, and I get to know what they are doing. So what is the place of public service emerging leaders for us? We definitely see them as the next crop of leaders. We definitely know that the public service has a bad name outside there. But I will also say without fear of contradiction that the public service has got also the very best that you can ever think about. The public service employs only the very best. And therefore, if they don't deliver, it is not a question of their capability. It is a question of maybe the system under which they are operating in. I'm an adjunct at times at the Schulich Business School, University of York, and I teach government entrepreneurship. And I look at young men and young women who want to join government. And at the University of Ottawa, I've co-supervised people who are looking at the public service option, which means that the third year at the university who wants to join the public service. So I have co-supervised those students. I look at the situation that we have in Kenya, and I say yes, deliberate development and mentorship of young people joining the public service is very important. The issue is, what message do we pass across as we begin that program, as we identify them? What message do we pass across? Why most of the young people have been leaving the public service is that when they join, they are not very sure of their career path. They're not very sure of their career path. We want to make it very clear that there is a future in the public service. And if you work hard, you are going to be someone or somewhere. I've literally done work for most of the governments in Africa. Most of the governments. I was telling the guys from Malawi that in 2008, I was actually training permanent secretaries and CEOs on managing for development results. I was at the office with the head of the public service. I've been to Salima, I've been to Mangochi, I've been to Lilongwe, the capital, working on public service. Africa is not going to develop without a strong and capable public service. I believe in the public service. So much, such that I found myself now, this is my 33rd year in the government. I started my career in Treasury, then went to Office of the President, then Cabinet Office, then Office of the Prime Minister, then at the Public Service Commission, where I've got a few years to go. But it gives me a lot of courage that even as we exit, or as I exit, there is a chain of young people ready to take the mantle. I have studied many public services, literally almost all major public services in the world. And there is no successful public service which doesn't have a deliberate training of young people as they join. I'm saying deliberate identification of the next crop of leaders, nurturing and mentoring them to be who they are. I believe in mentorship. I believe in giving responsibility. I believe in making the young people capable of doing what they are expected to do. I will finish up by sharing a story that I shared, I think, to the last lot who were here. The story of Francois Mitterrand, the former president of France. At the age of 10, Francois Mitterrand told the mother asked Francois, "What do you want to be?" Francois said, "I would like to be the Pope." The mother told Francois in 1919 that you can't be the Pope because all popes come from Italy. Up to 1919, all the popes had been Italians. Then Francois Mitterrand turned and looked at the mother and said, "Then I want to be the president of France." And from there, henceforth, the mother took Francois Mitterrand at his word. Wherever he did anything, the mother would ask Francois, "Is that the way the president of France behaves?" Francois Mitterrand would be playing while eating. The mother would ask Francois, "Is that the way the president of France eats on the table?" Francois Mitterrand came back from school and he was position 10. The mother asked Francois, "Is the president of France number 10 in class?" When Francois Mitterrand was about 46, he said, "The mother, now I'm ready to be the president." Then the mother asked Francois Mitterrand, "Tell me what you want to tell the French people." He read his speech to the mother. She wasn't moved. She just looked at Francois as if nothing had happened. He went and read the same speech to the National Congress, contested the Socialist Party seat, and he lost. After 5 years, he told the mother, "I'm now ready to be the president of France." And the mother asked Francois as it is, "Yes, tell me what you want to tell the people of France." He read the second speech, and the mother jumped and said, "Yes, you have it." He went and read the same speech to the Congress. He was subsequently elected the Secretary General and the candidate for the party. Francois Mitterrand went to become the president of France. If you went to Francois Mitterrand's office, you would find a full portrait of the mother behind his seat. And to date, Francois Mitterrand was the longest serving president of France. He served for 10 years. Nobody else has served those many years. What am I saying? Mentoring works, coaching works. And you can shape the destiny of the young people you work with. Just like Francois Mitterrand, why does coaching work? Most of them do not know what they want to be. most of them do not know how to get to what they want to get to. And they are therefore lost. But if they know, up to that juncture, that Francois Mitterrand could not be the Pope because popes only come from where? From Italy. Some of us have aspired to be what we cannot be, and therefore in the process got frustrated and lost our way. Some of us have joined the public service with a lot of ideas that if only they had the information from the word God, they would have known better what to do. But I would like to encourage you that coaching and mentorship works. What next for us at the Public Service Commission with the Public Service Emerging Leaders? Yes. We are determined to ensure that the program continues. We are determined to ensure that the program continues and grows. We are determined to ensure that we look at the next crop. We have taken in Kenya people who had served for less than 3 years. Is that the only important exposure in the entire career? No. We would like to see what next, what stage, and where are they at that next stage. Are they competing at the very highest level? Yes. If they are competing at that very highest level, then we shall be with them. But we know that not everybody can withstand the heat in the kitchen. And maybe in the process, we might not have everybody, but we are determined to give everybody who joins the emerging leaders a chance to excel and to be up there. I follow most of them because I'm extremely passionate about this program. And I believe that yes, when Karen talked about 2 years, we were looking at how do we ground it in the public service? How do we make it a public service program with the support of the donors, with the support of the development partners? And I think even as you go into Malawi, let the government know that the program is Malawi government's program. That is the only way you will sustain it, because the people, I don't know the model you might end picking up in Malawi or the other places. But government is a very interesting institution. It cannot be substituted, and they are very protective of what they associate with. Mine is to wish the graduates the best of luck in everything that you undertake. Mine is to show you that you have been given a platform. And as was having some talk yesterday, that there's an organization which says that sky is the floor from which we build our foundation. It is not the limit, but that is the floor from which we want to build the foundation for the fellowship program, wherever it is. I know in the course of my job, I will definitely meet. Now that I have met you, we will definitely meet. I go to West Africa so often because currently I'm the Vice President Programs for African Community of Practice on Managing for Development Results, whose headquarters is in Senegal. And we work closely with the African Development Bank. And therefore, almost in every country where the bank operates, I have access one way or another. I don't know what I was supposed to say, but mine was supposed to commit the Public Service Commission's intentions and to express the gratitude to which we have. Karen, thank you very much for keeping up on there. At one moment, I actually told Karen, please, this thing doesn't work in government, and if you don't change it this way, don't come back. But I'm glad we are where we are. I'm glad at the end of the day, none of us gave up hope on one another. And I know we have just begun the journey. The partnership, EPL, ELF, is bound to flourish. But we also bound to grow and change. From 50, we went to 65, and we are thinking about 85. And I think we will be thinking of even more next year as we expand the partnership. Thank you very much, and may God bless you.
Let's appreciate Dr. Sylvester. Wow, 33 years in public service. And yes, I can confirm that mentorship, coaching, those things work. Those things do work. And I have a special category of people that I look up to, people that mentor me, people that provide me feedback for me to grow, people that I have the honor to also mentor once in a while. The ELF team, if you're here, please just stand to your feet. I'd love to recognize you and appreciate you. Thank you very much. I can see we have Andre, we have Njeri, we have Stephen Kimathi, we have Loch walking in, we have Nicholas walking in. So these are part of the team in the communications department and programs department. And guys, I just would like to reiterate that I do appreciate you, I honor you, I see you, I love you, and thank you so much for who you are and for the work you do. Thank you so much. Please appreciate them again. Now, I would have loved to introduce you, Washuka, but there's somebody special that I'd love for her to actually do the intro. She's a lawyer like you, an advocate like you. She happens to be the project manager of the Public Service Emerging Leaders Fellowship Program. Njeri, please come to the...
Morning, everyone. My name is Njeri, and I have the very honorable pleasure this morning of introducing our keynote speaker. And I do it because she's Sanbe. Sanbe is in Korean someone who has gone ahead of you in the profession or from a school you have been in. And as I read her bio, you will probably realize that I'm in good company and I'm headed in the right direction. So Rose Washuka Macharia is the Chief of Staff, Office of the Chief Justice, and President of the Supreme Court of Kenya. The Oxford-trained policy expert and former diplomat has served in senior government positions for more than 10 years. Sorry. As a bureaucrat who understands the ins and outs of government, Rose's human approach to public policy has contributed to some of Kenya's most iconic achievements, including 100% transition from primary to secondary education, the development of an athlete-centric approach to management, which placed Kenya on the enviable global map as one of the most resilient sports nations on earth, despite the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. A gender-responsive sports policy in Kenya, the Young Kenya Works program, supported by the MasterCard Foundation, intent on providing 5 million Kenyans with dignified and fulfilling work, among many other achievements. Rose now leads a team of close to 100 people working in the Office of the Chief Justice and is charged with the responsibility of championing the implementation of the judiciary's people-centered vision of social transformation through access to justice. Rose also chairs the Nala Femme Collective Council, a Pan-African group of 17 feminists with a mission to foster, enable, and mobilize young women from Africa and diaspora while bridging the gap between policy and implementation, intergovernmental and grassroots, as well as generational spaces. She has also served on numerous boards and initiatives championing the advancement of women, education, sports, and good governance. Rose is a recipient of the Presidential Award of the Grand Order of the Burning Spear for her exemplary leadership in Kenya's public service. She holds a Bachelor of Laws degree from Moi University and a Master of Public Policy from the Balavnik School of Government, University of Oxford. Rose is also an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I would like to add that we have had the honor of receiving from Rose as the Peace of Program. She has worked for over 2 years as a member of the Peace of Steering Committee, and as some of the fellows here present can attest, has been working and mentoring with the Peace of Fellows. So ladies and gentlemen, please, with a round of applause, let's welcome Rose Ashoka.
Thank you very, very much. You know, sometimes I struggle to recognize that person that Njeri just introduced. From the little girl from a small village in Nyeri County who really went through a very normal village childhood, learning how to express herself in English well past the age of 10. I taught myself how to speak in English because my language of instruction and competency was Kikuyu in my lower primary education. And really going through the rigors of growing up in Kenya's public system of education, all the way from primary school to secondary school to university, and delving into the space of the international youth movement quite early on, and finding phenomenal strategic grounding in that movement, starting off with the Young Global Greens movement. And I was sharing that this space holds a lot of nostalgic memory for me because in 2012, we came together as a group of young leaders, then trying to figure out where to place, where to position, to speak about the Africa-Europe Youth Strategy. And this is a strategy embraced by African and European heads of state, and as NIOA, the international network of youth organizations in Africa, who were trying to see and to hold heads of states to account. How audacious. But audaciously beautiful, because that is where we found our networks, and that's where we found our grounding. And I always say, if I wasn't Kenyan, I'd be Ghanaian. If I wasn't Ghanaian, I'd be Liberian. If I wasn't Liberian, I'd be Burkinabe. And because I am all those things, then I am a Pan-African. And what does it mean to be a Pan-African? And what does it mean in the context of public service in our countries? In 2014, I made the decision to retire from international youth activism and join government full-time. I had joined government, of course, previously. I had been working in the judiciary, and I had been working with the political movements in Kenya to champion for environmental justice, inclusion from a gender dimension, education, and many other things that are really at the heart of growth and leadership. And so in 2014 in Brussels, I was part of a group of young people from Africa and Europe who had been invited to engage with heads of state in Brussels during one of the Africa-EU heads of state summits. And I remember having a conversation with the BBC Newsday team about, you know, the imprint of young people in those kinds of conversations. And for a long time, I was really tired of being on the periphery. I had my share of carrying the placards at a conference of party meetings, you know, going on the streets and really agitating, and I just wanted to be at the table. I wanted to be at the table, and I wanted to be at the table as part of government delegation. And so in 2014, I decided, you know what, I'm going to now focus on understanding and being inside of the Kenya Public Service full time. I will continue to network and to support my compatriots across the African continent. I would travel to Ghana, to all the other places to be in solidarity with them, but I would build an identity within the Kenya Public Service. And as Dr. Sylvester said, it is not for lack of options. We've had options to work in the private sector, to work in the civil sector, to work in the international world. But there is something about passion. There is something about service. And there's something about yearning to contribute to one's own government, one's own country, despite the challenges that gives you sort of like an addiction to really want to see things moving. And I also pay homage to those who went before us to shape a public service that could accommodate us and that could accommodate young people who today are very different from what would be expected of a bureaucratic, only systematized government. And you know, Emmanuel Bembe has been really a pioneer, and we celebrate you and continue to celebrate you for giving us ownership, for giving us pride in a public service that actually works. And so today I wanted to have an honest conversation with you. I wanted to have an authentic conversation with you about really what does it take? Is it going to be easy? No. It probably, you have chosen the most difficult pathway you could choose. But is it going to be fulfilling? Yes. It's going to be very fulfilling, but sometimes you'll be frustrated. Sometimes you will want to quit. Sometimes you'll want to leave. Sometimes you'll want to abandon the projects that you're working on. Sometimes you will not like your government. Sometimes you will not like the politics. Sometimes you will not like the conflict and the tribalism and the nepotism and all the isms that will have a negative connotation where you're serving. But you will bring energy. You will bring innovation. You will challenge the status quo. You will take over strategic meetings. You will set a new agenda. You will every day inch closer to where the decisions are made, and then you will take over. That is what you will do. But I don't want you to be in such a hurry that you can't understand the tempo of the institution, the belly of the beast, government. I don't want you to be in such a hurry that you're impatient to be the note taker. I don't want you to be in such a hurry that you're impatient to be the person who runs the first drafts of letters. I don't want you to be impatient to be the person who mans the office when everybody else travels to CSW for 15 days. I don't want you to be impatient. I don't want you to be impatient when you're the one who has to mentor and settle interns. Because that's the grounding. Because that's how you understand the organization. That's how you understand the strategic objectives. That's how you learn what you would want to do and what you would want to avoid. That's how you understand how new ideas would impact things that are challenging. Those of you who work in organizations that are really, and it's all of us, that are being challenged by the fast pace of change. That is how you say, look, let's move away from papers and let's go to PowerPoint. Let's really make it PowerPoint. Let's not have 60 slides on a PowerPoint. Let's have 2. That's how you move away from 100-page strategic blueprints and documents, because you will order them. That's how you cut off those pages to 10 and focus. That's how you say, look, we need technology to power this. We need new vision to power that. We probably need to understand what the organization has and what we can do with it. You will sit with the budgeting team and with the finance teams, and you will understand, where does the money go? Where does it get lost? And how can you recoup some of that back to the work that you are passionate to lead? Every day you wake up, you will make the decision not to be comfortable. Every day you wake up, you will remember why you are a PCL fellow. And every day you will strive for excellence. Every day you will understand that the work that you're doing is for citizens. So you will anchor yourself in citizen-centric leadership. If only one of your points in boardrooms gets onto those briefs and it has citizen-centricism, you will count yourself a hero. Because we forget. Sometimes we forget that really we are working for citizens. You will hold yourself accountable. If you get 1 shilling more on your accountable interest, you will write a check to the government and send it back to central bank. You will do that. You will not learn the bad habits of faking things and receipts and accounting for what you have not utilized, because every day you will hold yourself accountable, and that is a radical act of leadership. Okay? Every day you will hold other people to account as well, systems to account, anything that you're entrusted with. It doesn't matter how much your government will lose to corruption, but it will not be for projects that you've overseen, for things that you have led, and for things that you know. You will find ways and mechanisms to be present, no matter how frustrated you are, because that is the call to public service. It's a calling. And in the context of our continent, and that's why I'm going back to the Pan-African identity, you will remember that what happens in Kenya will happen in Liberia. You will remember that what happens in Ghana and the solutions they have can be applicable in Kenya. And that's why for the next few days, you will forge intentional bonds of networks between yourselves. And you will allow yourselves people you can share with when it's frustrating. You can share with when it's great. You can celebrate with when the elections are free and fair. But that you can also share with the challenges that you see and what needs to happen. Because as a continent, really, we are so connected that we are sharing good behavior, but we are also sharing bad habits. And that's why this Pan-African alumni program is so critical. I chair the Nala Feminist Collective, and the president is one of my closest friends and sisters, Aya Shebi, the former immediate AU African envoy. And when she became the African Union envoy, I remember when she did the interview, she was in my house. But I also saw many times after that how much burden that left on her shoulders. And so that is just a representation of the fact that despite Thomas Sankara becoming president at 33 and Patrice Lumumba at 35, we still have to continue bringing that youth vitality and dynamism onto the continent, because the average age of African presidents is 85 going on to death. And so what then remains of us and the future? And make no mistake, I am not youth. I am not under 35. And by UN standards, I am most certainly not under 24. And that's why it is critical to understand what young people are doing elsewhere. And leadership is not just in government. Leadership is in the economy. Can I tell you where the young people are? They're the captains of industry in the private sector. They are leading movements in the civil sector that are forcing us to change the way government engages with citizens. Young people are certainly not leading in the public sector, which is a shame. But young people are holding the sails. In the private sector, they are investing, and I hope they are. If you're watching me online, young captains of industry, I hope you are putting money where young leadership is. And even in the civil space as well. And so what do? You find your peers. You find those young captains of industry. You find those young people in the civil sector. And you teach them the language of government so that they can use the resources they have to change the way government responds to centric needs and problems. And maybe sometimes I'm idealistic, but it gives me hope to continue really challenging and supporting. But I also want to pay homage to phenomenal leaders who continue to invest in young people, who continue to believe in what young people can do, who continue to celebrate young-led initiatives in good governance. They are there. And the public service in Kenya, we have many. As I'm sure there are many in Ghana, which is almost my second home. You know? But we've got to find each other. You have got to find each other. I have my millennial sisters and brothers. You have to find your Gen Z colleagues. And then we have to weave those intergenerational core leadership codes. Laban has been a leader in the public service, but his journey is different from mine. I happened to be born with breasts and an identity that is female. My journey is different. The challenges that I have are different. And yes, 70% is a great target. Because the challenges, they're different. And young women getting to leadership and getting to public service or even just accessing jobs is different. Because the more we challenge patriarchy, the more patriarchy gets stronger. The more we challenge systems, our entire global economic system is anchored on patriarchy and patriarchal values. Our social systems, the way that we interact. But if we go back to the traditional conception of leadership, as authentically African, there we can find solutions. There we can find inspiration. There we can find authentic definitions of equality. And so even as you navigate this space, I can only share what has worked for me. And what has worked for me is, one, resilience. Just refuse to leave. Never say die. And it will make sense. It will make sense as you progress in your careers and as you continue. But every day, you will wake up with a thought to leave. You will ask yourself, why bother? And why bother is because your ancestors will curse you if you don't. Courage to question, to be, to inspire, to coach, to challenge. You will need to be courageous every day. That has worked for me. Knowledge. You will invest in yourself every day. You will deny anybody the chance to say, but you're not qualified to do that. But you're not an expert in that field. You will study so much. You will understand so much. You will write. You will sit at the table. You will do the heavy lifting. You will prepare the documents and the strategic. Because as you do that, you're teaching yourself. You're learning. And eventually, really, you will be Dr. Sylvester. You will be the expert on that subject. But you've got to show up. And finally, you will have to look after your mental health. The Edelman report that was released last year traces the big things affecting accountability and affecting service in government for the last, I think, 11 years. And what is challenging now is polarization at every level. Polarization and loss of trust in government. 5 years ago, citizens felt safe with government. Citizens expected government to provide resources and to provide amenities. That trust has waned, and it will be our generation, your generation, to reverse that. To reverse that loss of trust in government. And it's by leadership. It's through leadership. But while doing that, you will have to be fit mentally to do it. So when you need to take a step back, take two. When you need to introspect, find space to do that. When you need help, ask for it. But leave systems where you work, where others can reach out and find help. And it will be the most unlikely of people who need help. It will be you, the high achievers in our public sector, in our society. It will be you who is expected to hold space, who will be struggling. And so please ask for help. And then make it normal for people to do the same. And reach out to others. Use your phones, use your technology, which is the medium of it's a blessing of our generation, to look out for others who will need that help. I remember telling Karen the other day, look, you can send me many texts, and I can see them, and sometimes I don't even have time to respond, to say, okay, I've seen, but I've registered what you've said, and I'll get to work on it. But I told Karen, sometimes when you need me to see and respond to something, say, Rose, stop. It is an emergency. It's an SOS. Just say, look, SOS. I will stop. And so also find language within and among each other to communicate when you're in distress and when you need somebody to give you advice or to, hold space for you in a particular area. Learn to say SOS, stop. It's an emergency. Because as we continue to run the spaces that we are in, as we continue to try and do what we feel in our hearts we need to do, and that is to lead, we will not only be doing it for ourselves, but we need to hold others who are doing it in other spaces. And finally, as I finish, that seat you're on, that initiative you're leading, that sacrifice that you're making is not for you. You don't own it. Don't hold ideas so close to your chest that they cannot germinate. Just learn to be in a system of flow. Allow yourself to flow. Share your ideas with your friends, with your colleagues. Don't hoard information. Don't hoard ideas. Don't hoard innovations. Don't. Because it's not for you. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than us. And when you feel it's time to leave a place and impact in another place, pull somebody along with you and leave the tools, the documents, everything that they need to continue in that space behind. Because increasingly, it will get more difficult. And if you try to own and to remain static, you will get lost with the system. So keep going, keep moving, keep finding new things, keep impacting in different places. Find flow and thrive. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you so much, Washuka. We may have our seats. Richard, over to you.
Thank you very much for those nuggets of wisdom. I think I have written a thesis on your submission. Let's give her another hand of applause. What worked for her? Resilience, never say die. One of the clubs I support in Ghana is Accra House of Folk. When you say never say die, you say phobia, you say never say die. We never give up. So I've taken note of that. Courage, knowledge. Building knowledge is key. Taking our mental health serious. Sharing ideas, keep growing. Knowledge sharing is power, not just knowledge. People just have the knowledge, they keep it. But from what she's saying, it's just not the knowledge, but the knowledge sharing, which is power. Thank you very much for this. One statement that you made, which a colleague also took note of, is you will, and this goes to us, alumni, patience is good, patience is a virtue. You will every day inch closer to where the decisions are made, and then you will take over. We are overcomers, we will take over. Whatever you aim for, know and believe that it's possible, because others have done it. I want to specially ask us to stand and clap for Papa Emmanuel, the name Lumbebe. If this is not on the program, but Dr. Sylvester made us appreciate Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We can have our seats. Others have labored. We share in their glory. Ours is to do exploits and add to their gain, so that those who come after us will take up our story. And stories like that of Mr. Lumumbe is worthy of singing again. We'll be singing your story tomorrow. We'll be singing my professor's story. Thank you for this wonderful session. We are about to bring this opening to an end, but before we do that, we want to have some special pictures to at least keep in our dossier and have these memories that we today established or began the journey of that Pan-African movement. And this is our maiden event. Without pictures, I don't think the story will be in it. So can you help me take this? We'll have 3 pictures. The first will be EPL leadership with our special guest. Our special guest in the first, the middle table, kindly come up front as we take the pictures. On this table and that table, please, all of you. Penelope, you can join. Juliet, Sierra, Malawi team, kindly come join us. Penelope.
Fairy tales usually begin with once upon a time, but this one here begins with exactly 2 years ago, 10th of October to be precise. 20 young graduates embarked on this journey with a common vision to become effective and ethical leaders who can transform the public sector in Ghana. We came from different backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives, but we shared a passion for public service and a desire to make a positive difference in our country. Our journey began with an orientation that was both knowledge and fun-packed. We were trained on grooming, emotional intelligence, giving voice to values, teamwork, good communication skills, and a lot of fun games. This orientation was not only informative and engaging, but it was also inspiring and empowering. It helped us to discover our strengths, identify our goals, develop our skills, and it also helped us to bond with each other, form friendship, and create a network of support and collaboration. The orientation was the foundation of our fellowship experience. It prepared us for the challenges and opportunities that awaited us in the public sector. It equipped us with the tools and resources that we needed to succeed in our placements, our projects, and our mentorships. It also instilled in us a sense of confidence, responsibility, and commitment to our vision. As we graduate today, we are proud of what we have achieved and learned in the past 2 years. We are not the same people who started this journey 2 years ago. We are more knowledgeable, skilled, and experienced. We are more aware, empathetic, and ethical. We are more confident, resilient, and adaptable. And we are more ready and willing to lead the change in the public service. Our journey is not over yet. We still have a lot to learn and do as emerging public leaders. We still have a lot to contribute and achieve as citizens of Ghana. We still have a lot to dream and hope for as members of humanity. We are the emerging public leaders of Ghana Cohort 4, and irrefutably, we are the future of Ghana.
Our unwavering passion to lead by example and ignite quantifiable positive change within our society served as the driving force throughout the planning and execution of our community service project. This was the journey through our transformative endeavor, which we proudly label as resounding success. As we explored the depths of who am I, we discovered leaders within ourselves. We engaged in critical thinking, acted ethically, and became catalysts for change, shaping a brighter future for our community. Cohort 4's community service project, dubbed EPL Career and Entrepreneurial Drive 2.0. Our mission: to empower about 500 final year students at English Yamanfo Senior High School. Our efforts sought to provide them with essential guidance on academic planning and the cultivation of valuable entrepreneurial skills. We empowered their young minds, equipping them with the right attitudes, mindset, and practical skills needed to navigate life beyond the classroom. We further delved into scholarship opportunities, course selection for tertiary education, and the exciting realm of entrepreneurship. Behind every successful venture, there are essential collaborators. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to our dedicated partners, English Yamanfo Senior High School, the MTN Ghana Foundation, and Data Bank Financial Services. Together, we transform dreams into reality. As we reflect on this remarkable journey, we say Ayiko, a resounding congratulations to the spirit of community, leadership, and positive change that brought this project to life.
Working in the civil service as an EPL fellow has been an incredibly enriching experience. It's not just a job, it's a journey of professional and personal growth. In this role, I've improved my client engagement and honed my ability to navigate office politics. Additionally, I've had the privilege of interacting with government officials and inspiring personalities, which has consistently reminded me about the paramount importance of the dedication and unwavering focus in striving for excellence. This opportunity has been a blend of challenges, growth, and inspiration. I'm genuinely excited about the limitless opportunities and possibilities that lie ahead of my career.
Our test for transformation and growth set us on a mission as future leaders to engage ourselves every quarter, to deliberate, to exchange viewpoints, to engage in constructive discourse on matters pivotal to national interests and personal development. Hence, the nativity of Thought Leaders Arena. Gratitude is owed to our forward-thinking management, our reliable alumni, our indefatigable fellows, whose immense contribution ensured the impeccable organization and resounding success of the first and second quarter debates. As we stand here today, we are not just dreaming of a better world, we are consciously laying its foundation. The aim is to build a robust institution capable of addressing critical global challenges. So welcome to Thought Leaders Arena, where your voice is not just heard, but amplified. Together, we are not just the future, but change makers of today.
The 14-month-long training program we embarked upon at the Civil Service Training Center stands out as a transformative chapter in our EPL and career journey. This comprehensive training experience allowed us to delve deep into the inner workings of the civil service, thanks to the diverse and knowledgeable facilitators who took us through the training. The topics covered during this comprehensive training comprised of a wide range of crucial areas, including procurement, Excel, project management, public financial management, and many more. The training experience was further enriched by the relationships we built with our dedicated facilitators and coordinators. They were not just instructors, but became mentors and friends, fostering an environment where we could thrive and reach our full potential. One of the unique aspects of the training was the occasional visits from the principal of CSTC, Mrs. Day, to me, who would grace us with impromptu questions, which I call mentals. These unexpected questions kept us on our toes, encouraging us to stay constantly engaged and informed. It was a testament to the program's commitment to excellence and dedication to ensuring we were always at our best. Our 2-year fellowship offered a structured platform with opportunities for learning and skill development. The program provided a stage to connect and collaborate with like-minded organizations, mentors and experts in both public and private fields. Some memorable examples for this include the deep dive trainings and by the fireside chats with prominent people on topics such as managing mental health as a leader, navigating occupational challenges, and many more. As I reflect upon the entirety of this training journey, it becomes evident that it has equipped us with the knowledge, skills, and relationships necessary to excel in the civil service, and for that, we are profoundly grateful.
Public Service Emerging Leaders Fellowship, PSELF, is a premier leadership development program that aims to create a new generation of well-trained and ethical leaders in Kenya's public service. This fellowship aspires to contribute to a transparent and ethical service at the national and county level by recruiting young exceptional talent in the civil service to improve public service delivery, manage government resources ethically and transparently, and building a cadre of high-achieving professionals.
I want to congratulate the 51 fellows in the Emerging Leadership Fellowship Program. If you do your best, I am confident that our public service will be in good hands today, tomorrow, going into the future.
The program is jointly run by 3 partners: the Public Service Commission, Emerging Public Leaders, and Emerging Leaders Foundation Africa, with Chandler Institute of Governance as the curriculum developers.
The Public Service Emerging Leaders Fellowship is a true demonstration of inclusive youth engagement. We are building a network and a whole system of able, competent, very stable, very innovative public servants who have the vision of the country in mind and who understand what it means to serve citizens with the most innovative and the most effective services there ever has been.
Now, when you begin early, because this program targets public servants who have been in the service no more than 2 to 3 years, you begin to ensure that the public servants entering the public service itself are properly guided in terms of the kinds of values, practices, policies, processes, systems that exist in the public service.
What I see in the young people is a future. And this future cannot be done any other way than to looking and mentoring and nurturing leadership for the willing. And I guess our first cohort comprised that very willing young men and women who are proved over the year that they can do it. They can cause the change that we need for this country.
On 21st November 2021, the 3 partners, PSC, EPL, and ELF Africa, entered a tripartite agreement through a joint memorandum of understanding. The MOU signing was held at the Kenyatta International Convention Center and was graced by the then Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Public Service, Professor Margaret Kobia.
I just want to congratulate the Public Service Commission for teaming up with the other 2 organizations to purpose to develop leaders in the public service.
The MOU signing paved way for a meritocratic recruitment process that was jointly conducted by the 3 partners. The recruitment targeted young women and men aged between 18 and 35 who are permanent employees of the Public Service Commission and had worked for the government of Kenya for between 6 and 12 months. Over 6,000 applications were received, from which an initial list of 700 applicants was drawn. This number further came down to 250 shortlisted applicants who proceeded to interviews. In entrenching diversity and equity, 26 of the 51 fellows of the inaugural cohort are ladies, while 25 are men. 6% of this number are persons with disability. The 51 fellows come from 41 out of the 47 counties of Kenya and are drawn from 26 different ministries, departments, and state agencies. Then it was time to commission the 51 fellows into the fellowship. In March 2022, guests from all walks of life gather at KICC for the official inauguration ceremony. This was an auspicious occasion, graced by Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the former president of Liberia, who was the chief guest.
All of you represent the future of your country. Your leadership and the devotion you give to public service will result in meaningful contribution to Kenya's bright future.
Speaker after speaker spared no chance in enumerating the value and importance of this fellowship.
The inauguration of the first cohort of fellows is therefore the beginning of the realization of the process of developing leaders in the public service.
To the inaugural cohort, whoever much is given, much is expected. We have a greater task ahead of us and a duty to demonstrate value and give our partners a reason to keep investing on this noble cause.
But like Professor Wangari Maathai, she found her little thing, which was planting trees. What is your little thing? Please find it and fan those flames in your heart and keep going. Make a difference.
You have already chosen to serve. You are daring to lead and to transform this country, this continent, this world. My hope is that you start a wave of talent that is as committed to the service of your nation as you are and the world we all live in.
Empowered and accountable leaders are critical to a professional and effective public service, which inspires a sense of purpose and drives high performance.
Through this program, we're sure of injecting new ways of thinking and approach in government institutions that will ensure for all of us greater efficiency, greater transparency, and effect very useful and value-based public service.
Emerging public service leaders, therefore, must be champions of efficiency and value for money by developing and implementing innovative, cost-effective service delivery solutions.
The Public Service Emerging Leaders Fellowship is implemented through a public sector-centered curriculum whose focus is three-pronged: citizen-centric service delivery, public service leadership and ethos, public sector systems and methods. These thematic areas are delivered by seasoned private sector practitioners and illustrious career public servants, both in service and retired.
We have laid a very good foundation on the curriculum. I think we have designed some useful programs. Of course, we'll be happy to work with the team here to tweak further if there's need to. And I hope this program to be successful, not just now, but for the future.
The workshop program or the segments, they were structured very well. We had the formal part where we could sit in a class, have lessons, have practical exercises. And in other aspect, we had informal interactions like bonfires where we could meet, share our personal experiences from fellow to fellow and from other people we consider as mentors. And these are now the platforms that help us know each fellow at a personal level.
So this Emerging Leaders Fellowship Program is critical in that, one, it takes the best of our future public servants. It takes a hold of them at a very early stage in their career and allows them to be mentored by people who've gone through public service themselves and are able to share their experiences, the good and the bad and the ugly.
The greatest power of this program is the peerage, the cohort. And the cohort will rise to become leaders in the different ministries and agencies. And I think that that collectivity and interconnections is what is going to be of real value to this country, but also to the individual peers that are members of this cohort.
And the fellows are the real heroes of this P-Self story. Many of them have already begun effecting change at their different workstations.
Over the last 1 year, I've been extremely impressed. I've been extremely impressed because we saw young people who were not even confident about themselves coming in. We saw young people who at times could not even address a crowd. But we also saw young people who did not know what the public service career holds for themselves. As they graduate, and I've interacted with them from the inception up to now, we have had private conversations, we have had a lot of interesting things, we have seen them taking initiatives. I'm very glad one of them is doing a master's, and a number of them are also seeking for opportunities to develop themselves. That is what I saw. We have seen people who have come to know that their development of their career is in their hands, and they should not let anybody else take charge of that.
In Nakuru County, Jacob D. Kiage dreamt of a tech-led adult education at his Nakuru West Sub-County Adult Education Center. Inspired by the stories of change driven by ordinary men like him, he applied for a grant from the Safaricom Ndoto Zetu program. And as sure as his faith was, he received 500,000 shillings, grant worth of computer and related accessories.
The ministry sent the instructors. And once they have sent the instructors, it's now you to look for how to handle those youths, how to look for the resources. So this is something that I took. I look at the challenges and how to overcome these challenges. It brought the idea what we were taught about integrated service. You can give service, but you don't have just to restrict yourself to your ministry. Collaborate, 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 and you will get the best results.
In Kisumu County, Henry Nyamogosa, who teaches at the Kisumu National Polytechnic, amazed all and sundry. Henry took over a neglected course that no teacher wanted.
Henry has picked up one of the courses that was low-lying, the course in tourism management. Originally, this course had been placed in the business department, but I think when Henry put up the focus, that course was changed from business department to hospitality and institutional management. And that is one of the courses that we get 100% pass. The students are so proud of it. He's very outgoing. He will arrange for them academic trips, and I think he's impacting very well on the students.
Before I joined the fellowship, there was many gaps in me, myself, in even how do I handle my target audience, in this case the students. Then another thing on how do I improve my service delivery through following the right procedures and everything. So since I attended the fellowship, I can see tremendous change in that, because one, now I know I keep involving my students who are my citizens now in doing everything I do.
In Lamu County, we meet Hadija Mohammed, a probation officer who is now going above and beyond her job description.
One thing I can say about the PSELF, it gives one a change of mindset in how to go about your career, and everything. You need to think outside the box. It doesn't, your role doesn't end with what you do, but what you can do. So for instance, for me, not only do I work in the probation, but I also aid the education department by providing my counseling skills, because besides being a probation officer, I'm a professional counseling psychologist, and I render my services to the community and also the other departments by trying to empower young girls, young boys in our community to see the importance of education, importance of literacy from our community. So what thing I can tell about my colleagues out there, seek any opportunities that is going to better your skills.
As we look beyond the vista into the future, where do we all see this fellowship?
I would tell a fellow in the PSELF program, remember your mission. Stand your ground when it comes to your values. It counts, it matters. Be seen, be heard. Pursue your mission, pursue your purpose.
My vision for the Public Service Emerging Leaders Foundation program is that as we go along, we build a critical mass that can be a tipping point of young public servants who've gone through this program. When they go back to their ministries, their organizations, their public institutions, they're able to practice what they have learned through this program and be able to take leadership roles within those public service institutions and make them better.
To me, the greatest thing is to have the program growing from the 51. As you know, we are now moving to 65. I'm seeing it going to 100. And, you know, when you have all these many nurtured as leaders, the public service is much richer and healthier and more determined to give the service the citizens of this country need.
So they should consider themselves the apostles of sacrifice and service in the public service. And as apostles, move out with the gospel of service and spread the gospel of service across the public service, not just in Kenya, but across the African continent.
Public service emerging.